Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that he can't date younger and then get upset about my budget apartment? So I recently got together with a guy for my hobby. He asked me out first, but I had some doubts that we'd work together as a couple because of the age difference. He's 35 and I'm 22. So in my apartment, since it's an old house that was originally a single-family house, there isn't much soundproofing and the floors creak when people move. I've gotten used to the sound of the guy upstairs getting up at 4 a.m. since he starts work at 5, and the sound of the girls in the apartments to either side of mine watching telenovelas till midnight, taking work calls all day and having friends over on weekend nights. I know when I play music or have friends over, some of the sounds leak through the walls. So I never get upset about hearing my neighbors because it goes both ways. So, when my boyfriend started coming over more often, he had complaints about the neighbors, which put me in an awkward place. He wanted to go speak to them or have me text them, and I said no. For example, one of the early times he stayed over, we went to bed around 10. He wanted me to ask my neighbor to turn down her TV. I said she didn't have it that loud, and she turns it off at midnight anyway. At 4 a.m., he got very irritated with my upstairs neighbor getting up and cooking breakfast. I said that he would be done by 5 because that's when his shift starts. At 7 a.m., he was still trying to sleep in, and the neighbor on the other side had some work calls and that he said he couldn't sleep through. I offered him earplugs and he said he couldn't sleep with them in either. He wanted me to ask her to quiet down. He had similar comments every time he heard someone else in the building just living their lives, especially if it was when he was in bed. I got frustrated with my boyfriend and told him, you can't expect to date a hot young 22-year-old and not want to deal with a 22-year-old's living situation. I don't know if you realize, but this is a normal apartment for someone my age. Hell, my neighbors are pretty great. Nobody's throwing loud parties on work nights. Nobody's having screaming fights. Nobody's having babies. The hot young part was in sarcastic air quotes because those were his words, not mine. He got irritated and asked why I was bringing age into it. And I said it's because he can't both want someone so young and also want someone with house kind of money. And he was being so out of touch with how normal people in their 20s live. He got really irritated with me bringing age into it. And even more annoyed when I'd respond to his neighbor complaints in the future with, "Okay, boomer," or tell him that if he wanted me to have a rich person apartment, he could pay for it. Am I the a-hole for what I said to my boyfriend about my apartment? Edit. A lot of comments are asking if we could stay at his house. It's not possible for me to get to his house on my own because I don't have a car, and the buses don't go that far into the suburbs. So that would mean him driving 30 minutes from his house in the suburbs to pick me up, then an extra 30 to drive me to his house, then an hour round trip early in the morning to get me home in time for work. It's a lot easier for him to visit me in the city. Edit 2. A lot of people in the comments are saying technically 35 is a millennial and not a boomer. I know that. I am using boomer as a joke or a figure of speech to say acting out of touch and entitled to tell other people what to do. It is a common figure of speech to say, "Okay, boomer," to someone who is acting entitled regardless of their actual age. It's more of a mindset thing. Now for the top comments before reading the little update. I don't know, man. I think your initial instinct that this wouldn't work out was right, but for more reasons than just age. He seems to have a very low tolerance for mild inconvenience. Not stay home. Yeah, as someone in their 30s who still likes apartment living, I get the impression this dude wants a level of soundproofing that isn't possible, period. If you can hear people taking work calls, watching TV, and making breakfast, the soundproofing is just bad. I empathize with him because I hated apartment living. I felt like I could never live my life because I'd be a bother to my neighbors. And conversely, I would get annoyed at my neighbors when the fault really lies with the horrible landlords that build these buildings as cheap as possible and give not a single damn about sound control between units. Not stay home. Do you know why a 35-year-old dates a 22-year-old? Because women his age don't put up with this childish behavior, but a 22-year-old is more likely to be easily guilt-tripped. Good on you for standing up for yourself. Honestly, you might have a common hobby, but you're in a very different places in your life, which can make a relationship difficult if you're not both ready to be understanding. Living in an apartment comes with that burden of hearing other people. I point out to him that they probably hear you all being intimate, but they don't bother you about it. If If you can hear that much of what's going on in their apartment, they can hear just as much of what's going on in yours. Not stay home. Women his age don't put up with that behavior. His family in the suburb house she's never been to might. I didn't want to jump straight to her being the other woman. Yep, that's exactly what I thought. And now for the little update. I googled his property records for his house and he co-owns it with a woman who shares his last name. Holy cow. I don't know if she's his wife or ex-wife or what, but I'm out of here. I'm honestly freaking out right now, but I just gotta say, great big thank you to everyone who noticed red flags and made me question that. I've blocked his number. He can have fun figuring out where I went. Next story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my boyfriend when we split the bill at a fancy restaurant? I'm 25, my boyfriend is 35, and we have been together for almost exactly 3 years. And a funny coincidence, both of our birthdays and our anniversary, the day we met, all happen in the same week. This year, we decided he would organize a surprise for my birthday. I would organize a surprise for his birthday, and then for our anniversary, we would go out together for a nice dinner to celebrate. We discussed budget in advance, and we agreed that we would split the cost of the dinner. It was a set tasting menu, so we knew the exact price ahead of time. My birthday did not go well. My boyfriend lied to me about taking the day off work and kept disappearing to the bathroom to answer emails and make calls when we were at the museum together. I didn't ask or expect him to take the day off. I'd have been fine doing something in the evening. Then for my present, he gave me a pastry made of a specific ingredient that I'm allergic to, so I couldn't eat it. Then he left at 8 p.m. because he wanted to watch a football game, so I ended up spending my birthday night alone. The next day, I told him I felt like he'd given zero thought to my birthday, and it made me feel like I was a burden on him. He just said he'd done his best, and I need to learn to be grateful when other people try. His birthday went off without any issue. I had specialty food and wine shipped in from his home country, got his favorite childhood recipes from his grandmother, and spent several days preparing a dinner built around his preferences and dietary requirements. He loved it. Then came our anniversary. We agreed in advance to split the bill, but by then I was hoping that he'd offer to cover it. Not because of the money, but as a gesture of apology for how my birthday went. At the end of dinner, I asked if he still wanted to split. He replied, yeah, but it would look weird if we ask for separate checks since this is a nice place. So I'll pay here and you can transfer me the money afterwards. I honestly saw red. When the waitress came over with the bill, I said, we'll actually be splitting. She asked how we wanted to split, but I said I'd pay for the wine and my food. So in total, I paid for about 70% of the bill. My boyfriend just shrugged and paid for the remaining amount. As soon as we left, he said I humiliated him and acted like a spoiled brat, and he couldn't change the past, and I need to learn to move on when I'm annoyed. I said my issue wasn't about changing the past, but one, he hadn't even properly apologized for my birthday or tried to make up for it in any way. And two, he cared more about the restaurant staff thinking that he was a big spender treating me to a fancy dinner, when I'd actually be paying for half of the meal. He said I'm the a-hole because we agreed to split the bill, so I had no right to be annoyed about it. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Just tell him that you did your best and he needs to be grateful when people try. He's clearly putting in no effort, and that's what should humiliate him. Yep. 1, he lied to you about taking a day off, even though, as you said, he didn't need to. 2, he didn't give you attention when you were together. Bad enough. But on your birthday? 3, he couldn't care enough to get you a gift with any thought. I was done with him when he got you a pastry you were allergic to. 4, he had zero interest in planning/taking you to a meal in the evening. 5, ditched you for a football game. 6, he knows it would look weird to split in the stand, so wants to use you as a cover for himself, instead of doing the right thing. 7, he emotionally guilt/shames and tries to manipulate you. Girl, get out. Find someone who thinks you are important and gets as much joy out of making you feel as special as the effort you put in to make him feel special. You are a rock star, importing favorite wines, making grandma's recipes. I love doing the same kinds of things for people. Gift giving is one of my 5 love languages to others. And this guy's idea of a gift is a croissant? Please don't misunderstand me. If that's a special favorite of someone, then that's thoughtful, like going to an out-of-the-way bakery to get a pastry as a surprise treat that I mentioned once. Or where we went to the first/special date could thrill me, but this was clearly not. If we are broke students and that's what you get me because you know I love it and I know that's a chunk of your weekly money, it would still be sweet. This was just pure laziness and cheapness at 35. He could have saved a few dollars a week for a couple of months since he knew your birthday was coming. This guy could not possibly care less. I would be so out of there. You would be the a-hole to yourself only if you stay with him. Your boyfriend couldn't care less about your birthday. It only cared about image at the anniversary dinner. I'd hate to find out what his bad qualities are. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for taking away my wife's car keys because she took away my TV? I've always split my income 50-50 with my wife. She is religious, Baptist, but I'm not. This has never been a problem for us. Until this summer when I got a large raise at my job and I started buying things that she claimed were greedy and consumerist. I just told her I'm using my share of the income and I can buy what I want. I thought that was over her. But last weekend, I finally got a PS5 and bought a 65-inch 8K QLED TV. In total, it was about $5,000. I was really excited to watch the Super Bowl with my friends on it. I'm hosting a little party this year. But my wife was furious. She thought it was a terrible decision, and she didn't care I used my own money. When I came home from work on Monday, today is Thursday, my wife said she took away my TV. And sure enough, it was gone. I looked everywhere for it, but we have a modest 3-bedroom house, so who knows where it is now. I haven't been arguing with her for 4 days, and she's not budging, so this morning I finally snapped. I took away her car keys and also removed her tires. I told her I'll do the grocery shopping and our kids will be fine since they ride a bus, but I'm not giving her that car back until she gets me my TV. She's obviously furious, but the Super Bowl is in 3 days, and I'll be damned if I'm letting her control what makes me happy. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Everyone sucks here. You two should not be married to each other. But are there other people out there that deserve to have to be married to either of them? Not the a-hole. Justified a-hole, really. Yes, I accept your downvotes. Your wife unilaterally made a decision about what I am assuming is fun money. What you did in retaliation was after asking her about it for 4 days. It's petty as hell, and I'm here for it. Agree. What she did was not cool and she has made no effort to act reasonable. Not the a-hole. Spending $5,000 without consent from your spouse is also not cool. He said they split his income 50-50, which means he has his own spending money and doesn't need to consult her before making a purchase with his portion of the money. If he's giving her half of his money and she has no job, I'm sure this guy can afford a $5,000 TV and PS5 purchase. I'm assuming he has a good job and pays the bills. Everyone sucks here. You two are not partners and you don't even appear to like each other. Do either of you have the ability to sit down and communicate like actual adults? You two are immature and incompatible and should really just divorce. Sitting down and communicating was something I gave her the option to do most of this week, but she needs to accept that too. It doesn't work with only one participant. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my wife's work and eating the food before she could take pictures of it? My wife runs a website dedicated for cooking and recipes. She takes pictures of food before we eat, whether it's lunch or dinner, and posts them on her Instagram account. To be honest, I'm annoyed by having to wait so long for her to get the perfect shot of the food after decorating it, adding this fork and removing that salad dish. It just takes so long that I lose my appetite from just waiting till she's done. This has become the norm, but yesterday I decided I was having none of it. I came to find that she has cooked an entire feast as her next cooking project and put it on the table. Note that by looking at the whole table setting, I figured pictures had already been taken, right? But no. She said she was going to take few pictures and I had to wait. She went upstairs to get her camera and that's when I grabbed the spoon and started filling my plates from every dish she's made, and ruining the look as a result. I was hungry and unwilling to wait around for 10 plus to eat. She came downstairs, saw the damage, and blew up almost crying, saying I just ruined her cooking project that she worked hours for as well as putting efforts into. I said I was hungry and couldn't wait, but she kept yelling how much of an obnoxious jerk I was for not waiting till she took pictures of the dishes she made. Even said that this was an attempt of me to sabotage her success. I said, oh please, enough with those conspiracy theories. I'm just hungry and couldn't wait till she got the perfect shot. We had a big argument and she went upstairs crying. I finished my food then went out to cool off a bit. When I returned, she'd threatened that she'll never have me eat anything she cooks and said she'd rather throw it in the garbage than give it to an ungrateful, obnoxious jerk like me. I said this wasn't cool, but she told me to go screw myself. I said fine, then went to spend the night at the guest room. She texted me the word jerk about 15 times till I turned my phone off. Today she has gone complete radio silence. Am I the a-hole? Jerk. You're the a-hole. My wife cooks elaborate meals for me on a regular basis. I don't have to do anything, not even set the table, except wait for her to finish preparing the meal, which includes photographing it. I think making me wait 10 extra minutes along with the hours it took her to make it while I did nothing is too high a price to pay. Am I the a-hole? Yes, you are. My favorite part was him somehow needing to cool off as if she had done anything to him. And he had anything in the world to be upset about. I don't know if I even believe this post is real because it reads like a 14-year-old wrote it. But I do hope that fresh air helped Obit calm down from having gotten what he wanted. That must have been so upsetting for him. You're the a-hole. What the actual heck? Sounds like this is her job or at minimum an important hobby. Keep a Lunchable and a juice box in the fridge for when you need to act like a child. This comment made me snort laugh. You're the a-hole, OP, for Pete's sake. You're the a-hole. Dude, she worked hard on it and you couldn't wait a few minutes while she took pictures? If you can't stand to wait, then make your own food. You did do it to sabotage her since you knew that she hadn't taken any photos yet. Apologize to your wife.